Hello and welcome to this game pit stop for Brass Lancashire, designed by Martin Wallace and published by Roxley Games. In Brass Lancashire, each player is going to take the role of a leader of industry in Lancashire at the end of the 18th, beginning of the 19th century, attempting to develop their industries in the different locations and build links in order to score the most points. All of the actions in the game are card driven and you must discard a card in order to take an action. So what are the different actions we can do? First thing we can do is we can build. Now some of the cards have got the names of locations on there. With this Oldham card, I can come in here and I can build any of the viable industry. So I might choose to build this coal mine and put it in there. And because I've got the name of the place on my card, I don't need to have any links to there. However, the other way of building would be to build a link first. You can throw away any card, and in this first era, and there are two eras, the canal era, I can throw that away, pop that canal in there because it's connected to my network already, and I will pay 3 money, which will go on my player turn marker. And then in order to complete the building, I could play one of these picture cards which shows the coal mine that I wish to build, and I'll simply put that coal mine in play, put the 3 coal on there. There's always a cost associated with building your industry. In this case, it's marked on here for this level 2 coal mine. I must pay 7 money, which will again go on my player turn marker. Now, when you're building any of these industries, you must always build from the bottommost row available to you. So if I wish to build here in Warrington and Runcorn, I've got 2 options. I've got the picture of this mill, level 2, or I've got the Warrington and Runcorn card. What I can't do during this canal era is build in both spaces in the same place. You can only be one in each location. So using either of those cards, I'm going to choose to build this level 2 mill. And I'll put this mill into play here. Again, it's going to cost me money, but it's also going to cost me coal. Now, there are 2 different resources in the game. There's coal and there's iron. For coal, coal is always a source and you must always be connected to it because this is a steam mill, unlike the level 1 water mill, which didn't require any coal connected to it. It needs a constant fulfillment of coal. So I take this off here and I'll have to pay the money to be able to build it. Now, this cost me 14 money. And I only have 10 left. So that's the third action. We've got build a network, we've got build, and then we've got take a loan. I can take 10, 20, or 30 money from the bank. In this case, I'll just take the 30. And then that moves my income marker down 3 spaces. And at the end of the round, I'm going to have to pay this money back to the bank, or I'd earn the money if I got myself back up into credit and earning there. Also at the end of each round, you're going to check and see how much money each player has spent on that round. And then you're going to change turn order with the person spending the least on the previous round going first in the next round. And then all this money comes off of here and we continue playing. Now on each turn you're going to be using 2 cards. You can even discard any 2 cards to build anywhere on the board, but you're going to refill your hand at the end of your turn. And we're going to play almost all the way through the deck in the canal era. There are 3 cards of what? Number of cards equals number of players left out, because on the very first turn you only take 1 action, and in the second row era we're going to play all the way through the deck again. So I've managed to build these things out here, but currently they're not getting me any income and they're not scoring me any points. And in order to do that, you must flip each of these over. So how are we going to manage to do that? Well, the 4th of the 5 actions you can do is to develop your industry. Now, there are 2 reasons why you might want to do this. Firstly, it might give you access to the better levels, which are going to give you more money and what have you. And also, if you wish to build a ship, these first 2, these level 2 ones, are not available to be built until you develop. So in order to develop, you throw any card away. You choose 1 or 2 tiles from your board to discard, but for each tile you discard, you must use some iron. Now, iron is not the same as coal. Coal is a source which must be connected to whatever you used it, like I said, mills are using the coal constantly. Iron's different, it comes in batches, and for this development we're using metal to get some new technology. So it's a one-off. I can take it off there even though I'm not connected, because I just get it couriered in by wagon. Now, there's not another source on the board, so I have to take this from the market, and that's going to cost me 1 money. But again, I don't have to be connected to anything for iron because it's just a small batch that I'm using. That's then going to give me access to this level 1 ship, which I'm going to build in a second. Now, the other reason why you might want to develop is, at the end of this canal era, you're going to see that all the level 1 buildings on the board are going to score and then come off. So you might want access to level 2 buildings because they'll stick around, because the scoring is the end of the canal era and the end of the railway era. So let's say I do want to build this ship. I must be connected to the area I'm putting it in. So I'm going to build it in Liverpool. As you see here, it's going to cost me 16 money, no problem. and that 16 money obviously will go on my player turn marker, and it needs a source of coal and a source of iron. Now the iron can come from the board anywhere, no worries. For the source of coal, as much as I'd love to use my coal mine in Manchester, you must use the nearest source because it cuts down on costs. And in this case, it's the other player here, the silver player, has got a source of coal in Wigan. Now, how are we going to flip these over? Well, the ships are the very easiest. As soon as you build them, they flip over. This ship is going to be worth 10 points to me, and it's going to push my income up by 2. For sources of resources, as soon as they're empty, they flip over. So by building this ship, I've actually helped the silver player out. It's going to push their income up 7 spaces along there, and it's going to score them 2 points at the end of the era. Exactly the same way for iron. Once that last one goes, that will flip over and start scoring and earning money. For cotton mills and ports, it's actually an action you need to do, and it's a shipping action, and there are various ways which this can work. So you discard any card and you say, I'm going to ship. In this case, from my cotton mill in Warrington and Runcorn, I'm going to ship to my port in Ellesmere Port, and I simply flip them both over, and they're both going to start scoring me income and points. You don't have to use your own one. For example, the silver player up here in Lancaster could flip and use the red player's port in Fleetwood, and for their action, they're obviously helping that red player out who's been smart and built there. The second way to ship cotton is to an overseas market, and you must be connected to these overseas markets, and you would flip that cotton mill over. But in order to work out how much you're going to get from the actual shipping, you come over here to the foreign market and you move this tile downwards and you move the income down 3, and I'm going to get 2 extra income. And then I could do it again from Stockport, and actually I can do that on the same action. For a shipping action, you flip over all the cotton mills that you've not yet flipped. So Stockport will go over, I'd turn over another one of these, and it would again start moving downwards. But once it got down to X, that shipping doesn't earn any more, and you can no longer ship. And in fact, that cotton mill would no longer be flipped. So those are the 5 actions you can take on your turn. We're going to work our way through the deck. At the end of the canal era, firstly, you're going to score each of the canals you've built, and they score 1 point for each of these terminus markers that they're on. So this canal would score me 3 points. This one here is only going to score me 1. This one's scoring 0, and so on until we go around and take them all off. Then you're going to score all of the tiles you've been able to flip, and their points are on there as noted. Then we're going to move on into, we're going to take off the level 1 industries off the board. They're all gone. And then we're going to move on to the railway era. And there's a couple of changes for the railway. When you want to build a railway link, it costs more money. It costs 5 and it costs 1 coal. But on the same action, you can spend another coal and 10 more money and build 2 in one go. And also, I'm then able to build multiple tiles in the same location. So I can build up much more of a monopoly in an area. Again, at the end of that, all your railway links are going to score, all your flipped industry is going to score, and you're going to score 1 point for every 10 money you've got left over. And whoever scored the most points at that stage is going to be the winner of Brass Lancashire. This has been a Game Pit Stop. For more videos like this, check out our YouTube channel, and for more in-depth coverage of gaming, please find the Game Pit podcast. Thanks.